Well, it's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. That means it's AEW Dynamite. As you know, we continue with more of the Continental Classic with one match involving the Blue League and the three remaining with the Gold League. Now, there is one match which is a must win match or is a bust, as they say. And of course, we have to deal with the tiebreaker between Jon Moxley and Swerve Strickland. But also, before we do all of that, we decided to do a review with Stardom much recent shows starting the year end tour. Now, as you know, 2023 is coming to a close real soon. We can't wait to start 2024. So I'm really excited to see what matches took place in Stardom in the year end tour. But today's episode is going to be a little bit more different. We normally end this episode with some news updates, but I decided to do a small discussion session talking about Tam Nakano. Now, those who know, I reported recently Tam Nakano won for Tokyo Sports 2023 awards for Joshi MVP. So this is a big accomplishment for Tam Nakano. But however, during an interview with Tokyo Sports, it was later revealed that Tam Nakano was considering retiring after she obtained her injury. And she explained a little bit about that, but we'll talk a little bit about her career, how we got from her start of the journey all the way to now. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Leaded Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Leaded Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of daily reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos where we do also that today on this episode, where we talk about the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do some news updates, even though I'm not doing it on this episode. I may do it at a separate time or the next episode, depending on how things become. We also do some news updates alert in case to keep real time what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling and other cool stuff as well. So if you like what you see, and you please subscribe to us on that subscribe button, you'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool stuff on this channel. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, let's begin with Stardom. As you know, they started with their year end tour, so we're going to start with day two, and this took place on the 6th of December, almost this past weekend. It opened up with the rookie Yuzuki taking on Mai Sakurai. Now, I have seen Yuzuki how much she has thrown to the table, despite that she is a bit less experienced than any of the other than Mai Sakurai. However, she does have a bit of a fire when it comes to wrestling, but unfortunately, she bit the dust when she got when Mai Sakurai applied the Shining Buster. One, two, three. It's over, just like that. Next up, we have Yuna Mizumori taking on Mina Shirakawa. So it's interesting, as you know. Currently, as you know, Yuna Mizumori is holding out the fort until my um, Tam and Natsupoi come back. So you know she's a freelancer. She goes wherever she goes. And as for Mina, she's the only Club Venus member still standing while Waka's out on injury. So it's kind of interesting that these two had a uh, have a match against each other. They have teamed up in the past, but however, Tam Nakano is there to win, to reach to the top as she always did. But I can tell you the short version: she actually applied the implant DDT, putting Mizumori out. One, two, three, another W for her. Next up, we have a 6 women tag team match. God's Eye members consistent of Scandinavian Hurricane, Amisuri versus Star members Saya Ida, Hanan, and Azuki. Now, as you know, Scandinavian Hurricane is the newest member of God's Eye. She has put in a lot of effort onto this team, and she's proven her worth to it. But however, we did see a bit of an old, not a feud, but more of a rekindle of their match from earlier this year, Hanan and Amisuri. Now, if you guys remember, Hanan was one of the longest reigning and most consecutive defenses as the future champion until Amisuri defeated her. And I think that kind of rekindled that moment. But in the end, it was Amisuri once again that put away Hanan with the Blue Thunder Bomb. 1, 2, 3. Good night, Irene. Next up, we got our winners of the Goddess of Tag League, Divine Kingdom, Micah and Mega Bane. They take on Hanako and Mirai. Now I know that Hanako and Mirai and Micah know each other too well. They actually were trained by the same. They came from the same trainer themselves. I'm talking about Taka Michinoku. Yes, folks, the same Taka Michinoku from Kai and Tai. So they knew each other very well. However, don't forget, Mirai was also a member of DDM, just like Micah, until she broke away. But it's interesting now that they're opposite side. I mean, Mirai has shown how much strong she can be. However, the X factor of this match is Hanako. Much like Yuzuki, she has a bit of the less experience as the others, but unfortunately, she ended up being part of the Enka Otoshi by Micah putting her away. 1, 2, 3, building up momentum till her match with Zuzu on the 29th of December. So we'll get to that at some point. Now, speaking of Zuzu, her and her tag partner, a fellow Crazy Star member, and the current high speed champion, Maesita, they take on DDM's Julia and Tekla, better known as Mafia Bella. So, as you know, of course, this is going to be an interesting momentum for both of them. Now, keep in mind, Julia is determined to build momentum because she will defend her New Japan Strong Women's title against Megan Bayne. But as Zuzu, she has to build momentum to defeat Micah to fulfill her dream to become the face of pro wrestling. So that's her determination. But as always, it was, of course, Zuzu with the Grand Maestro Tequila onto Tekla to pick up the win. Now, as soon as it was over, she picked up the mic and told Julia that if she does win the belt, the red belt, she will nominate Julia to defend it against her. And Julia replied, "Don't lose." Now, this is something that gets me interesting. Now, Julia and Zuzu are people from they know each other from their ice ribbon days, if you guys remember the story. And then there's Micah. So I feel like Julia is caught in the middle of a feud between two people she cares about. But however, I think the problem is who is Julia gonna side on this one? I have the distinct feeling, many people, I don't know if you feel it too. If Zuzu does win, what does this mean for Micah? Does she decides to leave DDM knowing that she did not win what she wanted? Well, we'll see what happens because Micah believes in her mind that Zuzu is unfit to be champion and doesn't believe that she has what it takes to lead the company because she doesn't represent it right. We'll see until the 29th of December. Now, our main event, we have Oedo Tai in with members with Ruka, Starlight Kid, Momo Watanabe, and Natsuko Tora taking on Queen's Quest. We're talking about Mayu Imasaki, Azumi, Saya Kamitani, and of course Utami Ayashida. Now, Kamitani and Utami are building up momentum to face against Natsuko Tora, and of course the former leader of Queen's Quest, now member of Oedo Tai, Momo Watanabe. Now, since Aphrodite, Kamitani and Utami Ayashida won the tag belts, uh, Momo and Natsuko Tora nominated the issue the challenge themselves. So I have to say this is good momentum for them to bring out. But it was Kamitani who picked up the win when she applied the Frankensteiner on Ruka, building up momentum. So sooner or later we will see what happens. But I'm sure Momo and Natsuko Tora will determine to find a way to beat them and shut them up for once and for all. But we will see also on the 29th what happens. I think that's pretty much it for this particular day of Stardom. Let's move on with day 3 of Stardom. Okay, day 3 of year-end tour with Stardom. It opened up with Ruka taking on Mina Shirakawa. Now, of course, many people would say Mina would win because she's building up momentum. As you know, she's currently frustrated the fact that she did not win the Right to Challenge tournament. But it this is good momentum for her trying to build up to hopefully one day get to the Red Belt. But she has content with Ruka, who, as you know, is Odo Tai. Has proven what a powerhouse she has been many times. Not to mention using that briefcase, but did not took any effect because apparently Mina Shirakawa, as you know, put Ruka in a figure 4 leg lock and forced her to tap. So that's good night, Ruka. Next up, we have a trios action. We have Oedo Tai members, more specifically Starlight Kid, Momo Watanabe, and Natsuko Tora, taking on a very interesting combination of makeshift team. We have Yuzuki, Hanako, and of course Miyu Amasaki. Now, this is the first time she teams up with lesser experience. Now, keep in mind, Miyu Amasaki has been in their shoes before. However, she has about at least 2 years of experience as a wrestler. Not to mention, she hasn't graduated her 3 year experience just yet. However, this is a good learning curve for Umasaki and Hanako to learn from someone like from Amasaki. But I kind of figured that this match was going to end with Oedo Tai because, of course, you got two less experienced wrestlers, which is a good learning curve for them as well. But it was Momo Watanabe with a double knee stomp onto Yuzuki to pick up the win. However, during the post match, Momo decided to say some things about Miyu Masaki, saying that you're 2 years of experience. Why are you hanging out with lesser experienced wrestlers? Well, that's how it is. Momo likes to be likes to criticize people in her own honest opinion. But one way or the other, someone's going to criticize her the most. But that's that's for another time. Moving on. Next up, we have more trios action. We have star members, Saya Ida, Hanan, and Azuki taking on Queen's Quest Azumi, Saya Kamitani, and Utami Hashida. Now, I want to be honest with you. Had that feeling that when Utami Ishida and Kamitani came back, that this is going to put the entire Queen's Quest back in full force, which of course I've always suspected it. So you could say was a good match, but however, it was Azumi with a diving a foot stomp onto Hanan to pick up the win. However, of course, this is one of those moments where Queen's Quest are determined to go back to the top. Next up, we have Yuna Mizumori and Megan Bain teaming up again. This is the second time they team up. They take on Crazy Stars, consistent of Zuzu Suzuki and Meisira. Now, you probably can say there is some factors of this match. However, you got Mega Bane, who's a big competitor. Not to mention Zuzu nearly escaped Mega Bane when they ended up in a time limit draw. But however, I have to say they managed to focus their attention on Yuna Mizumori. I'm not saying that she's the weakest link, but she hasn't been with Stardom for almost a year now. So basically, she has a bit of the experience being with this kind of level of the promotion. So it was the tequila shot by Zuzu to put away Yuna Mizumori and win the match. Next up, we got the members of God's Eye, consisting of Scandinavian Hurricane, Amisori, um, Shuri, and Mirai to take on the full force of DDM. Maika, Mai Sakurai, Tekla, and Julia. Now, you probably can say this will build up momentum for both Julia and Maika since they are involved in title matches. Maika is pursuing the red belt, Julia is defending the New Japan strong belt. But she was able to pick up the win for her team with the glorious driver. So that kind of sets it up. But I can't wait to see what happens at the 29th of December at Dream Queendom. We'll just got to wait and see. I think that's pretty much it with all the Stardom stuff. So I believe it's time to move on with our final review, and that is AEW Dynamite. Okay, AEW Dynamite. Winter is coming. Well, before I proceed, I want to say this: Winter's coming is one of my favorite timings with AEW, because my favorite winter is coming has to be the debut of Sting. I will never forget. I was off my seat when I saw Sting, but in the same time, I cried. I didn't cry because I was sad. I was crying because I can't believe Sting was back. I was like, Sting has always been one of my favorite wrestlers growing up. I even got to see him twice on AEW in LA and here, and I was so happy about it. So I'm just, you know. So yeah. All right. Enough being the fanboy at the moment. So let's move on. Now, the show opened up with Samoa Joe coming out to do a promo. Now, as you know, Joe has uh, the talk about what happened to MJF last week. Of course, the real question is, who in the hell is the devil? Now, Jay White accused MJF being the devil. Nothing happened. Then, of course, all this and that. And then there was one person that Joe said that he examined the bottle and he said that he is suspicious that it had to be someone. And of course, Hangman told him that, say it to his face, you know. He said he doesn't care about this bromance that Joe and MJF have. And then, of course, here comes Joe. That's right, him, Roderick Strong. Now, Roderick Strong is just like Jay White, who thought this is thinking the same thing. The devil is MJF. Now, of course, he gave clues. He's saying they attacked Jay White the moment he issued a challenge against him, which is true. But there's no strong evidence against that. And then, of course, the Acclaim were the attack. And then they showed up attacking MJF and all this and that. So that kind of puts it in a way. Is Roderick Strong right? Does he really believe MJF is the devil? He wants Joe to open his eyes before it's too late. So that's the obvious question we don't know. However, Hangman Page was getting agitated with him getting involved in his business because, of course, Joe, he's saying that Samoa Joe is one of his best friends by proxy. That is the thing, of course, Joe cannot stand, is him saying we are best friends. I don't think Joe consider him as a friend. But however, he had to contend with Hangman in a match. It was a pretty good match, and I knew that the Kingdom, Taven and Bennett were getting involved, but it was the Deadeye by Hangman Page to put away Roderick Strong. Now, as we continue with more of the Continental Classic, we have the Blue League taking place. We have Brody King versus Andrade. Now, I know Andrade had dealt with the House of Black, more specifically Malachi Black, when he took his mask. So this is a much crucial match at the moment. They were currently tied with 6 points. So who's going to come out with the next 3 points? I have to say, this was one of the toughest challenge for Andrade to see. I mean, the dude is Brody King's a beast. You can't deny that one way or the other. But luckily, it was El Idolo DDT that put away Brody King to give him his his next 3 points, with a total of 9. So basically, at this point, Andrade is currently in the lead in the Blue League. So he most likely could win the Blue League. That is something that is a possibility. But we just gotta wait until the next match. Now, we do see an interview with Renee Paquette. As you know, AW were in Dallas, Texas, and you guys know who is the golden family and most recognizable royal family of wrestling. We're talking about the Von Erichs. We see Kevin, Ross, and Marshall saying they're happy to be there, and guess who showed up? Orange Cassidy. So he asked Ross and Marshall if they can be his tag team partners, and Danhausen is like saying, hey, you're betraying us. Hey, this is Texas. So basically, that he's telling them that he likes them to be their tag partner at Rampage against Menard, and Parker, and Hager. So that's going to be interesting. So I'm excited. I mean, of course, I'm planning to go see the Iron Claw film. Not gonna deny that. But I will give my thoughts about it once I see that movie at some point. So we'll see. Now, moving on. We do see the Golden Jets, Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho. As you know, they won the right to challenge for the AEW World Tag Team titles against Ricky Starks. So basically, you know, Ricky Starks and Big Bill explain their actions, but Kenny, well, Starks says you can't trust Kenny. He betrayed many people. Have you forgotten what he did to you? And of course, Kenny goes, of course, I don't trust him. I mean, it's true. It's better not to trust someone you know you can't trust. So it's simple. I mean, they had a common goal to get rid of Don Callis. Basically, it's like they're not drinking buddies, but they understand the cause. So basically, they call their shot. They will challenge for the AEW World Tag Team titles at World's End. So we will see what happens until then. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Golden Jets do win. Then they have to contend with another pain in their ass, and that is none other than Don Callis. Now, before our next match, we have Toni Storm, timeless Toni Storm, making her way to the commentary section because she is, how do I say, keeping an eye out or scouting her opponent, and that is Riho taking on Ruby Soho. Now, of course, these two ladies have met Ruby Soho, both Toni Storm, Ruby Soho, and Riho. So you probably can guess that this is going to be an aggressive match. So of course, Riho picked up a good win when she applied a running Meteora onto her to pick up win, and of course, Toni Storm may not be impressed, but she knows that she has to pay attention. Rio is someone you cannot take lightly, because of course we all know Rio's size. Don't let her size fool you. Now our next match, well, or should I say, our next three matches are involving the Gold League of the Continental Classic. We have Rush versus Jay Lethal. Now, this is a must win match for Rush. He only has 3 points in order to stay alive. He needs another 3 points. Now, Jay Lethal is already done. He's already out. Even if he does win this match, it doesn't mean anything. But however, you know Rush, but he managed to put this one away quickly as possible when he chokehold Jay Lethal. And that was it. So he right now is still alive with 6 points. And of course, Jay Lethal is done with just 0. And of course, he seems disappointed that he did not pick up a good win. Of course, the Dickwads showed up out of nowhere to try to comfort him, knowing that he lost. So I don't know what's going to happen until then. Now, our next match involving the Continental Classic in the Blue League, we have Jay White versus Mark Briscoe. Now, Mark Briscoe is already out of is already eliminated, but he still has to finish. So you can guess that this is going to be a tough challenge for both Jay Lethal. Now they have met each other before during the Ring of Honor days, so this was going to be interesting. Briscoe tried the Froggy Bow early possible. It didn't take effect, but it was a Blade Runner by Jay White that picked up the win. So he is currently at 9 points. So he walked away like that. But however, as I said, Mark Briscoe is already out. Now our next match, I knew this match was gonna be a brutal match. We have Swerve Strickland versus Jon Moxley. Now, we have seen the brutality what Swerve has done before in the past. We know that he's determined to reach the top. He feels that the spotlight should be at him. But Jon Moxley, he doesn't give a damn about the spotlight. All he gives a damn is about beating the crap out of his opponents. That's always been who he is. But you probably can guess there was going to be a very interesting match. However, neither man could outdo each other with their moves, so they had to use less conventional ways to win, and it was a somewhat of a roll up by Jon Moxley to pick up the win against Swerve, and Jon Moxley is currently now in the lead with 12 points. As for Swerve, he's a bit of a shock, like he cannot believe he lost to Moxley. He felt that he had the entire world in his hand. So we will see until the remaining part of the tournament to finish up. However, after that, we saw Hangman Page, who's fighting against the Devil's Henchman, We don't know what's the purpose. And then we saw the devil himself. But something has happened. He told his men to put him through the window of the car. So I don't know what it means, but there is the clues of what's happening. So we just don't know who the devil is. Now, recently there have been people that speculate it could be Jack Perry. Others say it's Adam Cole. Others recently said it was Britt Baker. And there's one common name that someone put out recently. It's Mustafa Ali. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of choices here. But we'll see what happens at some point. Sooner or later, the devil will reveal himself. And of course, if it's not MJF, then of course, MJF would definitely demand an apology. So we will see what happens until then. But right now, I believe we're done with the reviews that we have. Let's do our little discussion talking about Tam Nakano.
Get the guns, the drugs from my generation. I'll take the fall, the saints, and across the nation. And it's a sin, the guns, the fake, the fraud, the messing with me. Come on, come on, come on, let's get it on. Move to the music, play like fucking music. Move it to the music, yeah. Move to my music, play like fucking music. Live through my music, yeah. Now get the guns, the drums from my generation. I'll take the fall, the saints, and across the nation. And it's the sex, the gods, the fakes, the fraud, the messing with me. Come on, come on, come on, let's get it on. Move to the music, play that fucking music. Move it to the music, yeah. Move to my music, play that fucking music. Live through my music.
All right. Welcome to our discussions here. So let's talk about a very interesting, special Yoshi wrestler that we know and love, Tam Nakano. Now, as you all know, Tam Nakano just recently won the Yoshi MVP from the Tokyo Sports Awards for this year. It's very interesting how things have turned up for her because, for a long time, many people had always talked about how Tam Nakano will never win the red belt. Others things believe that she never did it, and eventually she did. But unfortunately, because of an injury she obtained this past October, it sidelined her from there, and of course she had to cancel her match against Zuzu, and then afterwards it was later revealed that she had to relinquish the red belt. But in a recent interview with Tokyo Sports, it was later revealed that Tam Nakano was considering retiring because of the injury. Now, before we proceed more, those who are unfamiliarized with Tam Nakano, let's talk a little bit about her. Before Tam Nakano became the pro wrestler that we know and love, she was part of a underground idol group. Now, don't ask me the name. Someone mentioned it, but I cannot pronounce it right. I don't want to offend anybody, but let's just say she was part of it. Now, at some point during this idol group, according to what history was revealed, this idol group was the shut down out of the blue for Tam Nakano. So she couldn't. She mentioned during an interview that she could not face her fans who supported her. She didn't know how to repay them back. But someone suggested that she should try pro wrestling. However, Tam Nakano said that she has worked, performed at a pro wrestling show with her group, with the idol group, and she did not like it because of this. But later, someone suggested why not attend a women's wrestling show, in which she did. And then later, she realized her interpretation, what she thought it was wrong. So she felt that this is something beautiful, like something that you see in a movie. That's when she jumped in. Now, those who don't know this, her trainer is none other than Yuna Manase. Yuna Manase is a well-respected veteran wrestler, but she has been known to train a lot of wrestlers. Here are the names of those you may have recognized: Unagi Sayaka, Natsupoi Sayuri Inoi, Nao Kakuta from Tokyo Joshi Pro, Maika Ozaki, Tai Hamna, and various others. So she has trained Tam Nakano herself. Now, Tam Nakano was part of the Actress Girls promotion, where of course she met two other members of Cosmic Angels that she know that are currently in today, Natsupoi, who was known at the time Natsumi Maki, and Saryu Inoi. Now, she's been with the promotion for almost a year, and then she made a very interesting decision to quit Actress Girls and proceed her dream out there. But she has participated in the Atsushi Onita farewell tour, where she was involved in death matches. Now, Tam stated that she was not afraid to take on new challenge, and of course she liked it. And then, of course, in 2017, she made her way to Stardom. She wasn't officially part of the roster. She spent 1 year as a hired gun or a freelancer at the time. But since her arrival, she was offered by not Yu Ishino, better known as Kagetsu, to join Oedo Tai. So they kind of proposed. It was like a proposal for her to join. However, it took a while for her. But here's the thing: her in-ring experience in Stardom wasn't that great. But Kagetsu suggested for her to be a manager for the time being until she's ready to get back in the ring. That's what many people have overlooked about Kagetsu. That Kagetsu can see that the wrestlers are not doing a good job in the ring, so put them as managers for the time being until they're ready. Now, uh, as you know, Oedo Tai has been in a bit of a war with Queen's Quest at the time when Io Shirai was running things. So that sets it up. Now, in early of 2018, it was announced that Tam Nakano was now officially part of the roster, and this was also the moment where there was a elimination match, a 5-on-5 between Oedo Tai and Queen's Quest, and the stipulation is the loser is expelled from their promotion from their respected unit, and unfortunately that person turned out to be Tam Nakano. So basically, she was all alone. She had no one, even Io, Io Shirai, or as we know her today, Io Sky, offered her to join, and here comes someone who had a bit of a feud with Io Sky. We're talking about Mayu Iwatani, who was her former tag partner. And during this time, she extended her hand and formed an army of their own, called it, at the time, Stardom Army. Now, Tam Nakano wasn't like the most popular wrestler. Some people, they like the storylines that she's been with. You know, she has been artist champion before. With Starlight Kid, and I forgot who else. But over time, Mayu Iwatani was ignoring Tam Nakano. Basically, people were referring Tam Nakano as the sidekick of Stardom. Of Stars. So basically, she wasn't like part of the group as people were intending to believe. But over time, as you know, she met Arisa Oshoki, who had a bit of a history with Mayu Iwatani in the past. Sorry, that's my brother's dog. Hey, sorry about that. Anyway, she did not like her at first, but they have faced off each other before for the white belt. Now, at the time, Oshiki has been one of the most impressive wrestlers at the past. However, they ended up becoming tag partners, and they call themselves Dream Shiny at the time, and they have won the Goddesses of Tag League. But unfortunately, they were unsuccessful to win the tag belts. But as soon as after, Arisa Oshiki made the most surprising announcement that she, in fact, had to retire due to an injury. This led Tam Nakano in a bit of sadness, but she made a promise that she would win the white belt. When the belt was vacant, that's when someone who we all know and many people love, Julia, showed up, and she won the vacancy of that belt and put Tam in a state of despair to obtain it. She even tried again for a second time in October of 2020. But after that match with Julia, Tam made a decision where that things have to come to a change. Give me a minute. Hey, come here. Come here. All right. Now, where was I? Oh, yeah. So, as you know, after losing to Julia for a second time for the white belt, Tam felt it was time some things have to change. That's when we enter to Mina Shirakawa. Now, Mina Shirakawa made her official Stardom debut on October 3rd. Her opponent was none other than Hana, and of course, Mina Shirakawa won that match. But the following day, that's when Mina Shirakawa had to face Tam Nakano. So Tam Nakano seems to be interested in her during her pre-match comments. So basically, she won that match. And of course, she asked Mina why did she came to Stardom. Her response is she wants to be a real fighting H Cup Gravier. And of course, Tam liked what she heard and asked her to become her tag partner for Tag League, which of course it did. However, they were not successful in Tag League at all. Neither was in the following year. So as soon as this happened, that's when something drastic happened in November of 2022. Apparently, there was a showdown between Star members. Mina Shirakawa was already integrated herself with Stars at the time, but however, there was a bit of a mystery partner that Mina and Tam decided to team up with, and that is someone who, of course, Mina knew of, but was never friends with her, and that is Unagi Sayaka. And of course, they had a big success match, all three of them taking on Star members Mayu, Starlight Kid, and of course Gokigen Death, who is now known as Fukigen. So over the next few months, before the end of 2020, uh, Tam, Mina, and Unagi called themselves the Cosmic Angels. In fact, they were in how do I say were successful in their matches, undefeated, and made the play for the artist belts. And that was a good showing. They were able to defeat Oda Tai at the time, but they had to deal with Stars, not once but twice. But unfortunately, there was a storyline that on December 26, 2020, which is of course Mina Shirakawa's birthday. Mina Shirakawa suffered a broken nose. However, they were supposed to be challenging Stars for another opportunity for the artist belts. However, they had to postpone it until Mina returned. Now, Unagi was ended up in a 7 match series. As for Tam, she made the choice to proceed for the white belt once again. And of course, that storyline was interesting. Now, keep in mind, she already lost to Julia twice, but Julia had no reasons to give her another opportunity. So she decided, how about putting her on the line? So basically, Tam accepted it, knowing that this is like possibly her last shot or something. So that match took place until March 3rd. Now, however, like I said, the artist belts had to be postponed for a while Mina had to focus on her match against Julia. Now, that match took place back in March 3rd of 2021 at the All Star Dreamdom or something like that. And it was a pretty brutal match, as you can say. What I like about this match was a good story. It was Tam Nakano who walked out as the victor when she applied a Twilight Dream. However, as you know, the deal was a deal that Tam Nakano had to Julia, but Tam couldn't do it. Now, you ask yourselves in this storyline, why didn't Tam couldn't do it? Tam agreed to the match, but in her heart, she felt that she was taking something away from Julia. So basically, Tam didn't have the heart to do it. She did not want to do something, but she did walk away with a piece of her hair. She has been the white champion finally. She has defended that belt a few times throughout the 2021 with Kamitani, Starlight Kid, even her own members of her unit, Unagi and Mina. Who else? I'm trying to remember. But later, of course, at some point, not Tam had the face against Kamitani again, and that took place until December 29th of 2021, which was the final event of Stardom. However, of course, during that period, uh, Cosmic Angels also lost the artist belt, but they do have the most consecutive wins in consecutive defenses in the artist belts reign. So that hasn't been broken just yet. But Tam lost the belt to Sayaka Mitani on that day. However, much of 2022, Cosmic Angels were dealing with their own fallout. As you remember, Mai Sakurai, who was the newest member who joined the group back in 2021, all of a sudden decided to turn away from Cosmic Angels and side with DDM. Tam Nakano was very distraught because she wanted to expand her team. But this led also not only for the unit to be in despair for what happened, it also led a heartbroken Waka Tsukiyama, who later we saw had a most fantastic storyline with her that led all the way to this year winning her first match. But as for Tam, as you know, she's been trying to find ways to get Cosmic Angels back on track. And that happened on one occasion at the Cinderella Tournament Finals when they ended up in a gauntlet match defeating DDM, more specifically Tekla, Julia, and Micah, giving them a good win against them. However, out of nowhere with the surprise, Colors showed up to join to have a bit of a match against them. So they had to determine when it's the appropriate time. So Tam had to figure this one out herself. Now, during a New Blood event, Tam Nakano suggested, "How about we have this match on June 5th?" Now, unfortunately, the plan for Tam at the time was to have Waka to be involved. It was supposed to be a 4-on-4 match, but unfortunately, Rina Amakura was unable to do so because she revealed that she had other engagements on that day. So it became, in the color side, Saki, Yuko Sakurai, and Hikari Shimizu taking on the core members of Cosmic Angels, Tam, Mina, and Unagi. Now, you can say this was a good match between those two teams. What I like about this moment, about the match between both Colors and Cosmic Angels, is the moment between both Tam Nakano and Hikari Shimizu. Now, what I like about this moment, Hikaru Shimizu's pro wrestling debut was against Tam Nakano, and she won this match. Now, Hikaru Shimizu always admired Tam for a long time, and in this moment where, of course, Hikari was on her back in the mat, Tam was standing right on top of her, telling, it's like she wasn't saying anything. You can tell by the look of her face. It's like she's telling her, "Luke." Sorry about that, it's a dog. She's telling Hikari, "Come on, Hikari, show me how much you have changed in 5 years." So that kind of told a very interesting storyline, and that's what I like about Tab. She's like giving that storyline, show me how much you have changed, how much you have grown in 5 years. But unfortunately, Hikari didn't change that much in her own way until she ended up with the violet screwdriver. It was over. But Tam decided to do a very unthinkable match. Now, prior before this thing, Matt Tam said that this is a winner must lose. The losing team must join the unit. However, Tam had a change of heart. What she wanted, she saw the colors were not just another pretty face. They saw the same thing. They were similar. So instead of having them to be their subordinates, they decided to let them be in their own way. And of course, Mina and Unagi and Waka were okay. Hey, stop it! So anyway, that kind of puts it in. So we have seen some great moments, but however, Tam at the time was dealing with another problem in her life, was Natsupoi. As you know, Natsupoi had dealt with and Tam knew each other from back their Actress Girls days. Natsupoi hasn't forgotten how she found out that Tam left when she told her via text. You know how that is when it comes to in relationships. Don't break up with your significant other via text because that is heartless. You know, that's how it was. So there was like a bit of a feud. Now we know Natsupoi has challenged Tam for the white belt, unsuccessful, but she did have two matches with Natsupoi, one as a steel cage, one during Cork and Hall. But however, there was the final showdown between them during an elimination match where Cosmic Angels and Colors team up to take on DDM. But the most surprising shock was Natsupoi turning her back on Julia and DDM. Tam Nakano at the time was shocked herself. Like she could not understand why. So basically, it was Natsupo who made the choice. Natsupo said that she felt that she was being treated as a pet or a mascot because, as you know, she felt like maybe she wasn't succeeding with DDM. Now there was many people that are how do I say not argued, but more making their honest opinion that maybe Julia thinks of her as the weakest link of the group, which was, of course, interesting because don't forget, it was Natsupoi, Maika, and Himeka who actually defeated the Cosmic Angels for the artist belt. So, um, Natsupoi was responsible for losing those belts. So basically, it was based on that. So that's why Natsupoi joined. But this led to another thing that took place. Tam Nakano decided to start a revolution with Natsupoi, forming a tag team together. This also led to a bit of frustration and jealousy within the members of Cosmic Angels, more specifically with Unagi and Mina. Now, as you know, Mina has always been Tam Nakano's right hand from the very beginning, and there was a bit of a jealousy. And then, of course, Tam Nakano and Natsupoi were called out by none other than, at the time, the the tag champions, FWC. So basically, they accepted the challenge. And I have to say that match was one of the most interesting matches I've ever watched because, as you know, Tam Nakano never would have imagined in her life that she would get another opportunity for these belts. She always did say that she wanted to do it with Arisa Oshiki, but unfortunately, because of her circumstances, it never did. And I have to say, they call themselves Meltier. They were very successful in defending their belts, but unfortunately, that did not last. Tam Nakano and Natsupoi lost those belts in December, on December 29, 2022, against 7 Up, consistent of Nanare Takahashi and you. But as for Tam Nakano, she did have another play in her life, which was, of course, to win the 5-star Grand Prix of 2022. She was able to succeed and make it all the way to the finals. And once again, she had to be crossed against Julia. And I have to say that match was impressive. But unfortunately, Tam was very heartbroken with the fact that she did not win the 5-star Grand Prix in her tournament. Now, many fans have made an opinion that she could win the next year. Has been known to do that many times in tournaments like these. But of course, that's in later time. But later, of course, Tam had to make another play, and this time is when she was unable to participate in the tournament for the IWGP Women's Championship. That match was later won by Kairi. As you know, she was part of the tournament, defeating Mayu Iwatani. But it was Tam Nakano who made the decision that let's have it on January 4th, which of course is the biggest show. Now, people argued in that match on January 4th for that one that it was the very shortest one. I mean, of course, that had to make room for what's her name, for Mercedes Monet when she actually made her appearance. But that's another conversation for another time. But as for Tam, she was growing sadness that she couldn't even get to the top. She felt like, why couldn't she win the red belt? Why she couldn't win this one? It was very heartbroken for her. Now, many people would have expected her to possibly win this year's 5-star Grand Prix. However, that wasn't the case either. So Tam, on the other hand, made the choice to make another play for the red belt, but this time against Julia, and it, uh, it took place on April. So Julia decided to drive Tam Nakano in despair by breaking up the part. But however, this also led to another problem. Mina Shirakawa back in November of 2022 ended up injured when Sayaka Mitani botched the Phoenix Splash, um, messing up her teeth, if you guys remember. This put Mina out of action for 2 months. Mina returned in December of 2022. However, she introduced brand new friends, which is Zaya Brookside and Mariah May. This led to her to end things with Unagi, but at the same time, there was a lot of various questions that led to Mina that it was a possibility that she would leave Cosmic Angels at the time. So we were expecting that at some point. It did happen also on the final day of the Cinderella tournament, where there was a elimination match between Cosmic Angels and DDM. However, Mina Shirakawa made the choice that she wanted out, and she did, and took Waka with her, putting Tam in a bit of sadness because she did not want to let her go. However, the day has changed when a familiar face from both Natsupoi and Tam Nakano's past re-emerged, and that is Sayuri Noi. Apparently, Sayuri Noi couldn't stand seeing Tam cry, so she was able to, of course, help her out. So that gave her the chance, and hopefully, this will be the opportunity that she needs in order to win the red belt. Now, many people suspected that Cosmic Angels were going to end right there on April of 2023 at the All Star Queendom. Unfortunately, it did not happen. Tam Nakano walked away with the win, finally becoming the Red Belt champion. Now, there was a lot of, not a controversy, more of an argument saying that it's really messed up that Tam Nakano win. Rossi Ogawa explained the reasons why. Rossi Ogawa explained that, of course, she's 35 years old and she's still in her top level. So she thought that if they gave her the red belt now, while she's still at her top game, then we'll be fine. So that's what happened. Now Tam was able to defend the belt on various on a few times against Mina, against Natsuko Tora. Then on, she was of course the double champion when Mina put the white belt champion on the line, and of course she won. Tam had even tried to get Mina to come back to start to Cosmic Angels, but she had no reason to do so. And of course, they did team up again during Dream Tag Festival, and it was a great moment. But of course, Mina had her own plans, and she's determined to win the red belt. But unfortunately for Mina, that did not happen. Now, Tam Nakano did had to defend the red belt when the Tsuko Tour in October of 2022. However, she was unsuccessful to win this year's five-star Grand Prix. She also ended up in a bit of a feud with Megan Bain, where she was successful to win. You can say that Megan Bain was a tough challenge. But unfortunately for Tam Nakano, she ended up defending the red belt, successfully retaining it against Natsuko Tora. However, she had to contend with another opponent, the winner of the five-star Grand Prix. Look! Stop. Sorry about that. I think he needs to go to the bathroom, but let me finish this. Tam Nakano, as you know, got injured, and the match she was supposed to have with Zuzu was postponed or canceled on November 18th. However, Zuzu was making a compelling argument that Tam needs to return her belt, which, of course, it was consideration. Hey! Knock it off! So, basically, that's what happened. So, basically, Tam had to relinquish the belt and give it back. However, we haven't heard anything from Tam since then. Now, there was no, how do I say, no word from her, but she did state that she was coming back, which was a good thing. However, recently, as you know, I announced that Tam Nakano won the Joshi MVP award from Tokyo Sports. Now, Tokyo Sports, in fact, actually, how do I say this, had an interview with her where she was considering retiring from pro wrestling, and of course, that's something I did not expect coming from her, but she kind of explained it now. So this is what she said after she won the award. Uh, th- um, Thank you. I felt sorry for causing so much worry and inconvenience to my fans, and not for being able to fulfill my responsibility as the red belt champion till the very end. Even so many people reached out to me to make me realize that I was not alone. I was. I also want to help people through pro wrestling. Receiving this award made me feel that strongly again. Now she did later. They later asked her what was her situation while she was sidelined. This is what she had to say. After injuring my knee, I was unable to move. I was bedridden for a month. Even slightest movement hurt, and couldn't sleep at night. And whenever I thought about pro wrestling, I would cry. A month later, when I took off the brace on my knee, I felt I couldn't move. At that moment, everything that I had been tense for so long suddenly snapped. Every day, having like press conference in my head where I kept refuting the words people were saying about me on social media, saying things like "You're unfit to be champion. Give it back. Quit already." And and I thought I can't do this anymore. So yeah, basically what happened is people were saying negative comments. This is what Tam Nakano has always been avoiding, and this is why I find, pardon my language, to a bunch of assholes who say they think they know what's best for her. My honest opinion, they need to shut the fuck up. Reason is this: they have no right to say that. Now, she did state it. What was her thoughts about retiring? She said, "Yes, I called Rossi Ogawa and said, please let me give it back. I can't continue anymore. I want to quit. I was scared to wrestle anymore. I was scared of getting hurt. I was seriously thought about quitting, but a lot of people cared for me, and the fans gave me a warm encouragement. That's a good thing. You know, she had people that cared about her. F those freaking haters. If I have any Tam Nakano haters, get off my damn bus." Now, here's what she said. Some wrestlers reached out to her, and here are the names she mentioned. Nanane Takahashi contacted me, took me to the beach with her. Kairi Sane, also contacted me and said, "It's okay. You can tell me anything you want." Sadayo Inouye always tells me three good things about Tam every time she contacted me. Natsupoi took me out to eat yakiniku, and I really felt that the Stardom is the promotion where everyone loves and support each other. So good thing she had a good support system. I know some of you are saying Kairi really reached out to her. Yes, if you guys remember, Kairi and Tam Nakano had a match, but there were many people that often say that Tam Nakano was exactly had the same kind of spirit as Kairi. So that there were a lot alike, but it's a great thing that she got a call from her. Now, she actually posted out on November 30th an update of her social media for the first time in a month. This is what she had to say. "I am truly supported by all my fans. I have a lot of haters too. I get all kinds of comments on social media, but during my absence, those voices became painful that I stopped using social media. Even then, I received comments from them saying, 'I made video for Tam. I'll be waiting for you. Just take your time,' in modification. When I realized that so many fans wanted me and supported me, I realized that I couldn't just disappear from pro wrestling like this." And she said that, about her status and injury, that has been improving. She said it does hurt a bit, but she's getting there, and she's gonna do her best to make a comeback. Now, as for her match with Zuzu, as you know, she did say, "I truly sorry that I did what I did for what I did. I think Zuzu's young, talented, and amazing pro wrestling. That's why also I wanted to have that title match with Zuzu. So I would like Zuzu to win the red belt in Ryogoku on the 29th, and would like to challenge Tam for who was fully recovered." So basically, she will challenge Zuzu to give the match that she deserved. I'm sure Zuzu will probably be happy with that. But as for her return, she uh, says she'll do her best to come back, and she will not be retiring. So, what I think about this whole thing with Tam, I have to say, I know there's a lot of haters that say a lot of negative comments, and that's why I say shut the hell up for those haters. I don't like haters at all. But but I'm sure she'll be back stronger than ever. I'm sure that her skills will be more sharper than ever were. I'm sure that she'll probably be wearing a knee brace while she wrestles. I'm sure that's obvious. So I have to say, Tam Nakano, as a fan, I love the storyline she put herself in. Like I said, there's storylines with Julia, Natsupoi, all this. I enjoy that. Many people can say that Tam Nakano will never reach the top, but she did it, because she fought for it. I always did say that Tam was like the ultimate underdog, and now she's like, to me, I feel she still is the underdog, knowing that people are up against her, saying that you will never win. If you guys ever seen this, there was a moment where Tam and Mayu Itani were one on one. Mayu could not stand seeing Tam win the red belt. I think in her mind she never imagined she would have won it, but it just did. So I think I'm very happy that how this match turned out. But I can't wait to see what else Tam can do. I'm sure that winning the red belt is no longer the her goal. I wouldn't be surprised if her next goal will be the IWGP Women's Championship. That is something that could be considered because you got to remember, as I said before, Rossi gave her the push the idea of having her to win red belt because she was in her top game. But if Rossi thinks the same thing too, or the IWGP committee thinks the same thing too, then we will see from here on out. But for right now, let's just pray that she does come back. We're done with our discussion, so let's just call it. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this episode. As I said before, having the discussion about Tam Nakano. This is the first time I actually put out an episode for quite a while. But coming up, as you know, we have possibly MLW, Impact Wrestling, and Ring of Honor. I haven't decided yet if I want to put another review, but we'll see what happens until then. But for now, I'll just leave things as it is. I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.